webinar on Tuesday night. We did this webinar on Tuesday night, and some feedback we got is that it is a lot of information compressed into an hour. So let me say right up front, I realize there is a lot of information. When we disconnect from this call, though, it does not have to be the end. If you have any questions that don't get answered, if you need any clarification, please reach out to me so that no information goes unclarified. My second disclaimer is that I am a super nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love this stuff. So if I start talking too fast, start losing my breath a little bit, then just tell me to slow down, go back, because I think that this provides all of us in ministry so much opportunity to expand our ability to serve that I just find that to be super exciting. Before I jump into the meat of the grant finding, I want to take just a minute to share a little bit of information about the foundation. I know some people are a little more and a little bit less familiar with the foundation. I have our mission statement up on the screen right now. I'm not going to read that to you. What I will tell you is how refreshing it is to work at an organization where we truly live out our mission statement. Everything that we do, anything we consider doing, we bump up against our mission statement to make sure that it is that we are really living into our commitment to serve you, our clients. I thought I didn't need this, but I do. The foundation was founded in 1968. We began active management in 1985. We are located in Huntersville. Hopefully, a lot of you have experienced our building. We love our ministry of hospitality. We love hosting meetings. So if you have any retreats, we would love to have you come to our building and host that for you. We were created by the Western North Carolina Conference, but we are our own entity. We are our own 501c3 with a separate board of directors. Our current assets are actually about $320 million, and we are the third largest United Methodist Foundation in the connection, or if you're in our office, we jokingly say we're the third largest United Methodist Foundation in the universe. The different ministry services that we offer include endowment development, planned giving, fund management, loan programs, and we have loan programs to our churches as well as to clergy. We offer leadership development. A lot of that is through what Anna Lee does with Reynolds Ministries. Of course, right now we're talking about grants, the grant finding and grant writing workshops. I mentioned hospitality, that we would love to host you in the building, and a lot of stewardship education. So in a 30-second dump, that is all of what we provide and what we're passionate about doing to help all of you support your financial ministries. So now we're going to roll right into grant funding, how to find and apply for it. And I think most of you know this. My webinar right now is the precursor to a grant writing session that we will be offering. A lady named Karen Martin has done this for us for a couple of years, and she is going to be taking part 2 of this series in the grant writing workshop. And Anna Lee, can you just briefly re-announce those dates for anyone who's interested?
Yes, I know several of you have already signed up for the September 8th grant writing workshop. That one is full, but if you would like to join us for our second date, it's October the 27th. And after we finish this Zoom today, I will be sending you the link to watch this video that I'm recording, and I'll send the link again in case you didn't have the opportunity to sign up for the October 27th date, so that you can use that link to register for that date.
Thank you. So my whole goal for this presentation, because I mentioned we do offer loans. So if I'm talking to a church about a loan to replace a roof or to add solar panels, I will often say, you know, you could look for grants for that in addition to a loan, to help pay back the loan or to get a grant to fund that. And resoundingly what I hear is, well, you might know how to do that, but that's a huge mystery to us. We don't know how to go about if it's not an organization that we already know and have a relationship with. We don't necessarily know how to go about finding other granting organizations. So that is the whole purpose of this, is to show you how to do that and demystify that process. So when my background was in higher education and for 25 years. And so I'm going to show you exactly what I would do, how I would organize this, and it's widely applicable just to a grant process. I think it's important that you start to define your needs by funding objective. There are some funding organizations that are willing to fund capital, others absolutely will not. There are some that only want to fund things that show collaborative ventures. So if you can say, these are the things that we would like to have to approach grantors for by funding objective, then you can identify the granting organizations that would be interested in those separate objectives. So I've just kind of pretended here that we are looking at our upcoming year, and we know that our HVAC is a little bit shaky. So we know that we want to go ahead and replace our chiller in the spring. That's going to cost us $80,000. In the summer, we want to host a children's camp. We've budgeted $40,000 for that. In the fall, we want to do a Halloween festival, and in the winter, we want to host a community dinner. So if you can go ahead and look at your year, you can see how each of these different events could be objectified differently. You could be going to the same grantors, and I'll explain that, but this is going to help you understand what objective you're raising money for, when you need it, because that will help you plan your activity. And one thing that I hope you will see in this presentation is that this is really a long-term plan that you need to work. You're looking for dollars out a little bit in front of you, not so much things that you have an emergent need for right now because of the timeline of your organizations you'll be going to. To that point, allocate an amount of time that you're dedicated to pursue grant funding. This should just be budgeted into your calendar, just like any other important activity, meeting. Just set aside some time to do this. And then I think often we're all under the pressure to, what's the next thing? We've got to get more money. That sometimes we don't take the time to celebrate. And especially important with grantors is to thank them. It's a relationship just like any other relationship. So taking time to celebrate that you were successful with this, share it with everyone who was involved in the process, and then certainly share that celebration with those who funded you. So I'm going to get into the steps to do this. That was the overview. Candid.org, there used to be something called, and there still is, the foundationcenter.org. It was its own standalone, the foundationcenter.org. So if any of you were familiar with that, it has now been rolled under an umbrella of this candid.org. And I think that even if you do it for only 1 month, get a 1-month subscription to candid.org. It is something you have to pay for. There are different levels. The one that I have activated so that I could actually go live on this presentation is $54.99 a month. You can pay up to $220 a month. That is the platinum level subscription. I have, in my work, never used the platinum level. I've always been able to get enough out of the basic search engine and then use what I find to go to guidestar.org and do the research from the 990, which is their tax filing. And I'm going to walk through sections of that as well. You also can go to your public library, back to the resource section, and ask a resource officer to assist you you would need to take your own computer, your own laptop to the library and use the library's Wi-Fi connection. You can download the information and save it and take it with you, but to use it at no cost to you at the library, you have to do the work there. For me, because I'll often be doing this at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was always worth it to me to pay a $54.99, be able to do it when I needed mine, all the information that I could, more than I could possibly use. And then I could discontinue my subscription after a month. But you know, that's certainly your choice. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in real time. So if you go to candid.org, did that change on the screen for you? Okay, so this is candid.org. You'll see the right up here. Something that I can go back and clarify in the slideshow. Right here where it says, I need information about nonprofits, this right here is really a link to GuideStar. GuideStar is free. You don't have to use this link. If you go to guidestar.org, you do have to register, but there is no cost to search information on a nonprofit. It's a little bit confusing because of how they grouped it under Candid. This middle section right here is what will take you to the foundationcenter.org. That's what you have to pay for. That's what we are currently on, a $54.99 monthly subscription. So here, when you come down to this login or subscribe, this now you can see comes to Foundation Directory. So I've already registered and saved my login. When you log in to the Foundation Directory, this is what it takes you to. So coming back to our PowerPoint, what I have in the PowerPoint, Annalee will send you both the recording and the PowerPoint after this is over, so you can use both. So of course, this is where I've circled that this is where you enter the funding site. You can see you're at Foundation Directory and you come to Advanced Search and Filters. And then we will do additional filters. So I'm going to come back and show you what that looks like live. So right here, we're in Foundation Directory, Advanced Search and Filters. You click that and it pops this box down. I immediately go ahead and do additional filters. I go ahead and give myself all of the filters that I'm going to want to look at one time. So we're going to say subject area. And you can come down here, subject area, religion, subject area, here, Christianity, and then Protestant Methodism. So the searches are fairly intuitive. They will walk you through the drop downs what you need. Obviously, religion's going to be one of the more complex. So to get all the way down to Methodism, where grant funding will be used, you can type in North Carolina and then North Carolina. That's all we need. Population served. So again, you can go down through the same search here, Methodist. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to pretend we're searching for a funder to look for the chiller. But in the same time, let me say, if your community dinner in the winter, say you want that to be an interfaith dinner, you really want to expand the outreach, you could then open this population served up to all of Christianity. as long as you show in your grant how you're having outreach to, anyone of a faith community in your community. But right now I'm putting criteria in to return a search because first of all, we're looking to fund our chiller. We're not putting in an organization name. That's what we're looking for right now. So support strategy, I'm coming down to capital and infrastructure. You can see here that there will be different funding strategies. And that's where if you're looking for your outreach, you could do some kind of outreach if you're talking about your children's camp in the summer or your fall festival or your community dinner. But right now we're looking for capital and infrastructure. And I'm going to go ahead and hit search. I like to leave my criteria a little wider so it returns more organizations. And you'll see right here, it's returned 17 grant makers that within North Carolina will fund capital for Methodist organizations. So already we start and we've got 17 grant makers returned. It's only going to show you 5 at a time. I actually recommend that you take them 5 at a time. That's in the PowerPoint, but you can look through and see what other ones are here. So I'm going to come back to page 1. Does anybody there look familiar to anybody? Let me stop real quick and ask if there are any questions thus far in how I've gotten us to where we are.
There are no questions in the chat.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So we've come through our filters. That's the expanded filters. Now what I've done is I've saved that list. That 17, I just saved it here and said, this isn't a manageable list because there's a lot of work that goes into researching. So I suggest you take your top 5. How would you narrow down your top 5 from this list? Well, first of all, of course, if there's someone that is familiar to you, I mean, we all know Duke Endowment. The Community Foundation of Western North Carolina for any of those over toward the Asheville area. Of course, some of you know the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina has subsets, like in Transylvania County, they have the Transylvania Endowment. You can find all of the information for those sub funds through the Community Foundation. I'm looking for those of us over here in the Concord area, many of us regionally know the Cannon Foundation. So first, take the ones that you know something about. If you don't know anything about any of them, I would say take the ones that you see are located geographically closest to you. So now you've got this list and you're going to narrow it down to a top 5. So here I have said for our purposes, these are the top 5 that I've narrowed it down to: Duke Endowment, Community Foundation, Z. Smith Reynolds, Cannon, and Wilson. So I said earlier, a lot of times I think we think of foundations as these faceless entities. And while they are on the surface, I have found that the people who work at these organizations are really passionate about the work they do. They're passionate about putting dollars out into the community that make life better for others. And it's all about relationships. Program officers love to talk to people as you are putting in your applications. They want to know about your organization. They want to know about the ministry that's being achieved with what you're doing. And for these churches or these grantors, it's funny. I talk to people a lot about this. If we're putting roofs on, so people say, well, putting a roof on isn't the most exciting thing. No, it might not be, but I tell you what is, it's what happens under that roof. It's what happens under that roof that allows ministry to happen. That's really where your story is. And so as people understand the good work that you're doing, the roof makes that happen. So it's really important that they understand the ministry that's enabled by whatever they are supporting, whether it's an HVAC or roof, or it is the community collaboration programming kind of dollars. See who, and I'm going to show you how to do this on the 990. The 990 will show you staff members. Of course, you can get a lot of information from their website, but the 990 will show you staff members. And if their website does not show you, the 990 will show you who their board members are. And so whenever you can make those personal connections, if you know a board member, again, my experience is they're passionate about serving on that. I would always ask someone, I know you serve on the board of this foundation. Can I have a conversation with you about an application we're putting in? And if you can understand the passion and the need, would you serve as an advocate for that when you go into your board meetings to make these approvals? That's part of the reason they serve on the board. So I would look to see who the contacts are. Who do you know? And, use your church leadership too. Take this to your church leadership to say, we're putting an application in with the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina. Do you know any of these board members? Would you make this call? You're also cultivating the relationship with your church members to get involved and to be passionate about what it is you're getting money for. So it's not all on us as paid staff. And look to see, have they made relevant grants in the past? So all of these, I came down and said, clearly Duke Endowment, yes. The Community Foundation of Western North Carolina, yes, they've made many grants to United Methodist and other churches. Z. Smith Reynolds, Cannon will fund brick and mortar, some will not. Wilson. So I've already said, yes, I can find from the 990 that these organizations have funded organizations like ours and projects like what we're looking for. So then you come on down, and when I used to do this full time, I basically lived and died by a spreadsheet that told deadlines, because this is the application deadline is going to help you structure the work that you're putting in for the application. Some organizations will accept an application on an ongoing basis. Duke Endowment will accept it on an ongoing basis, but of course they're only going to fund it based on the rotation of their cycle. You live and learn sometimes. There's nothing worse than not paying attention to this, having a great application ready and pulling it up on April the 10th to submit it to Cannon. And have missed the deadline by 5 days. And these, if they post a deadline, it is a hard and fast deadline. So I would always organize it by deadline. And then, of course, the other important information is to find out what size grants they're making. If they only make a couple of grants of $1,000 to $2,000, even if it's a great fit, you have to decide then, is it worth the time and energy to put in the grants? Some grants are better off left unpursued. There are sometimes reasons for you to pursue that if you're looking to build a relationship. But, time and energy is finite. So the more information you can have about how you're spending that money, the better. Are there any questions? No?
Not in the chat.
Okay. One thing I want to say here is there will be reporting deadlines, and I'll let Annalise speak to this based on what she's done with Reynolds. There are reporting deadlines, so it's important that you be able to manage the grant and be able to report back to the grant maker in a timely fashion. I just saw something pop up. Annalise, is there?
Asking about a 990.
Okay, we are getting to that 990. Y'all, I love a 990. So this is, let me clarify, this is why you need the Foundation Center. In Tuesday night's question session, and I'm hoping if y'all have questions, please ask, because others will benefit. So in Tuesday night session, there was some question about the difference in the Foundation Center and GuideStar. Why do I need the Foundation Center if I have GuideStar? The Foundation Center if you already know the funding organizations you want to approach, you do not need the Foundation Center if you already know them. If you need to learn of new funding organizations, that's where the Foundation Center comes in. The GuideStar will not do that for you. GuideStar will not return results for you. Once you have this information, you've identified 17 and you've narrowed them down to 5, you can do away with your Foundation Center subscription. You've got the information you need to now go to GuideStar and search the 990s. So before I leave, is that, did I make that clarification for everyone? Okay. So now you go to, you can go to Candid. It will still not cost you. For me, I typically just type in guidestar.org. Can you, by a show of hands, can y'all show me who has used GuideStar before? So, okay. So, guidestar.org, no cost. You will just have to register. So I'm going to, I see a chat question, Annalie.
No, new to all was what Carla said.
Okay, great. So I am going to come back up here. So now we're back live. So we are back on the Foundation Center. I'm going to come back to Candid. So I'm going to show you if you want to stay in the same place. You can go candid.org and come to this first site, or you can type in guidestar.org. As soon as I click on this, you will see it takes us to guidestar.org. So what I'm going to do, okay, hi, Susan. Okay, so now I want to come to search in GuideStar. Toggling back over to the PowerPoint real quick. When you, this is the page it's going to take us to. This is your search line. So I'm going to look at the Duke Endowment. That's the first one that returned for us in our search, the Duke Endowment. The more information you can put in over here, the more likely you are going to get the foundation you're actually looking for. And I will show you why I say that. So if I come here and type in the Duke Endowment, and I've typed it in exactly as their name is, and I hit search. Luckily, the Duke Endowment's large enough that it pops up top, but look at all of the organizations it will pull up, even with us typing in the name as it is. So if you have something that is more generic, like Z. Smith Reynolds, you type in Z. Smith Reynolds, it's going to pull up every organization that will search on Smith, on Reynolds, and probably on Z. You could literally end up with hundreds. So if you come over here to the Duke Endowment and put in North Carolina, City, Charlotte, or if you're looking at Z. Smith Reynolds and you put that information in, it's just going to help you search faster. That's the point. We're going to click on the Duke Endowment. And then this, and this is in the PowerPoint, I've circled this. You're going to come to Show Forms 990. The Duke Endowment is actually ahead in that the 990s are often going to be 2 to 3 years behind. So it's a 2021 990. That is actually as current as they're going to get in 2023. You're not going to see a 2022 or 2023. So you would click on the 990 and this pulls up their entire tax return. They can be from, the 990s can be from 25 pages to, I'm curious to see what this one pulls up. It could be 300 pages. So in the PowerPoint, I'm showing you where, I don't know if it tells me how many pages it is. It's lengthy. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint real quick. And then I'll pop back over. I'm going to toggle back and forth. So that's why it's important to enter that information. Here I show you, click on the 990. Don't be surprised if you've even got 990s as recent as 2019. That's not surprising. What I suggest you do is download the most current Form 990. And then I'm going to tell you where to go specifically in there, but at least the most recent 2 years. Part 3, line 6, it's going to show you the total net assets of the grant maker. So if you're pulling up a grant maker that has total net assets of $30,000, you're probably not going to want to spend a lot of time putting something in. They're going to make very small grant awards. Part 5, lines A and B, show the total grant distributions for the past 5 years. So let's go back live. Okay, part 3, line 6, shows you that the Duke Endowment has total assets of $3,237,000,000. $40,871. So clearly they have some capital that they're working with when they're making grants. So that's where you go, part 3, line 6. And then the next area that I tell you to look at is part 5, lines A and B. So part 5, lines A and B, you're seeing how much they're giving away. So you can see that they're giving away a considerable amount of money. This is likely an organization that's worthwhile for you to make a grant to. Now, the next thing that you want, part 8, is information on the grant maker's officers and directors. I mentioned this to you. This is where you're going to find out who you would then take, for instance, to your church board to say, who of these people do you know? So we're going to come down to part 8. Sorry if I'm making anybody. Oh, I'm sorry, it's part 7. Here are the trustees of the Duke Endowment. So you can look and see, was there somebody that was a Queen's University graduate that might know the former president, Pamela Davies, that could ask for that advocacy on her behalf? And then you come down here to your staff members. So this is where you're looking at, you're really looking to make those personal connections. The other, I'm going to have to ask you probably to close your eyes so I don't make anybody sick when I get down to this next part. You're looking in this section here for information on grants paid or approved for future payment. So I tell you what, I'm not gonna go to the one for the Duke Endowment. I'd have to scroll way down. I'm gonna show you what I just showed you, the relationships. This is what an excerpt of that section looks like. So I came and grabbed a snapshot, and immediately you can see Andrews United Methodist Church. Oh, okay, they funded a United Methodist Church. This was for a community outreach program of $20,000. That looks a whole lot like either our fall festival or our community dinner. But as you look at, you see that they funded a United Methodist Church. If you look just at these others, does anything jump out to you as we're looking at the different things that we've talked about funding for the year? Does anything jump out to you? And if it doesn't right away, I'll tell you what.
They're like kids.
Yes, ding, ding, ding. So we're talking about doing a children's camp this summer. So now we see that they have funded a United Methodist Church, and oh my goodness, look at the different areas where we see that they have a commitment to children. So now, where you had them in mind either for the chiller or for the community dinner, Now you may say, I immediately see there's a better fit for this organization for me to put forward an application, because I think if you take the two things together, that we're a church and we're serving children, that's probably going to strengthen our application. So I often use the analogy of a magnifying glass. You know, when you look through a magnifying glass, not only does it slightly distort what's in the rim, it excludes everything out. So I encourage you to, think like, just expand what you're looking for, and see what you can glean from the organization overall based on the other things that may seem not as relevant. Because where they funded the church for $20,000 for a community outreach program, my goodness, the children, they're funding things for 400,000, 65,000, 250,000. So you're likely to be able to go to them with a larger grant application request by partnering those two things.
Susan?
Yes.
Before you move on from this slide, this is also a place that you've reminded me that personal relationships are very important.
Mhm.
You can actually reach out to, if you know somebody at Andrews United Methodist Church who was a
Mhm.
part of writing that grant.
That's right. I find that people are very helpful. So Andrews United Methodist Church, if you know someone there and say, hey, I'm interested in approaching this organization for this, can you tell me who you were able to work with, what your experience was? Were there any things that you found you should have done, you shouldn't have done? There's so much money in these organizations. And this is an old 990 too. So a lot of times grantors will not refund churches or anyone, oftentimes for 2 or 3 cycles. So if they've received a grant in the last couple of years, they may not even qualify anymore. So I don't find people to say, I'm not going to share that information with you, because if you get a grant, I might not. That's really not the way this works. So if you know somebody at Andrews and you can find some information about what worked for them, by all means, reach out and find that out. That's just going to really help you respect the relationship with the grantor all that much more. And you can tell them that when you call and talk to the program officer. I've spoken to someone at Andrews United Methodist Church. He or she said that you preferred this. Is that still the case? They're going to appreciate that you are doing your homework to make the most of their time. Thank you for reminding me of that, Annalee.
And Susan, would you like to talk a little bit about grants that you have written for, to make sure that you note in your grant, like if you've got a Canon grant, then
Yes.
that's going to be something grantors are looking at also.
Right. So I mentioned I was in higher education. In higher education nationally, there is a foundation called the Kresge Foundation. If you get a Kresge Foundation grant, it makes other grants that you're applying for colossally easier when you say, I am a Kresge grant recipient, because they know that you have had to hold one ankle and jump through with the other leg. I mean, they know what you've had to do to get that grant. And so there are other things like, and so Canon Foundation is one that's so important in our area. Canon Foundation has a really strong reputation. So if you've received a Canon grant, it's important to tell them that when you're applying, especially say you're looking for the chiller, and Canon Foundation has told you they will give you $20,000 toward the $40,000 chiller. When you're putting that grant application in to someone else to find that other 20, and you say, we've received a commitment from Canon for 20,000, that's immediately going to elevate your application, because they understand you've dotted your I's and you've crossed your T's for Canon to give you that authorization, that money. So anytime you've received kind of that external affirmation, whether it's another foundation or whether you've got someone, an individual even, who is making a huge capital commitment, you don't have to disclose who it is, but that you have a huge capital commitment from outside, that's supporting this, that's always helpful. Any questions about that? Okay. So The 990 scouring takes a while. I can get lost in a 990. It's ridiculous at how long I can get lost in 990s. I think it's so much fun. It's also really reassuring to look at what these organizations are funding to make our communities better to me. But putting all of this these steps together, first of all, I just remind you, it's an overused analogy. But this really isn't like a marathon. I mean, it is a marathon, not a sprint. You've got to conserve your energy and pace yourself and plan. Y'all, I used to be a runner and I've run a marathon. And let me tell you, you got to build up to the 22 mile runs. You can't just go out and knock it out. There's going to be a problem. The research and application takes time. It takes diligence, and you really should work it as a plan. And going back to something that I said, I always started it with the grant application deadlines and worked back from there. Speaking of, that's how I just mentioned, create an application spreadsheet, organize it from the deadlines, have a checklist for everything that you need. You'll have different requirements from different organizations. One of the ways to damage a relationship with an organization is not to include everything they ask for. They don't want to get your application and then have to say, but we ask for this, but we ask for this, we ask for this. Likely they'll just not consider it. But they will also make note of who doesn't pay attention to the things they ask for. So
Susan,
that's,
we have a question.
Okay.
We've got a couple of questions.
Okay, good.
Where do you find information regarding deadlines?
Okay.
And then MS Project works great.
Oh, great. That's a great suggestion. Thank you for that. Deadlines can typically be found on their website. Sometimes they don't give you the deadline on their website because they want you to contact them. They really, this is where they really want to start building that relationship. So if you go to canonfoundation.org, they're going to have their deadlines posted. But some of them will say, contact us for deadlines. So something like Duke Endowment, where they have different deadlines based on their areas, whether you're in, the church or education or healthcare, sometimes you have to call. So it could be one of those two places. Anything else, Annalee, or did that get it? Okay. And this is where I'm about to ask Annalee to speak. I would say I focus on relationships a lot because it's just so important to this process. And as important as it is to apply for those dollars, equally important is to show the grantor that you used the money for what you told them you would use it for, and help them become inspired, help them be excited about what their money went for. And so, Annalee, you've been making a lot of Reynolds site. You were on one last night. So do you want to speak about that?
Yes, it is very important. Most require that written report back, but some do require a site visit, like the Reynolds grant. And so whenever you're working with that program manager or the person who's going to be making the visits, don't make it difficult. Work with them so that they can get there to just engage with the ministry. It has been so exciting to be able to see the ways that the Reynolds dollars are being put to work. And so me being the person who visits, I bring that back and report to the committee that has made these grants. And, if you're thinking about, okay, I got a grant a couple of years ago, I want a grant again, just remember that those reports are coming back. So the more that you can cooperate and give, that relationship's just going to get stronger.
Mm-hmm. And we've had several that sent videos. So, now technology makes it so easy. If there is a way to hit the emotions, to show you can film a video, to let the people they're making so many grants. So what's going to make your stand apart? If there is a way for you to help them experience what the ministry that was created by that, you know, film a little video on your phone and email it to the program officer. When Anna Lee comes back with videos or we have videos sent, I promise you, we share those. Those all get shared in our staff meeting to make all of us feel good about the ministry that we're able to create and help be a part of out in the world because of our work here at the foundation. It's so meaningful to us.
And they get shared with our board members too.
They do. They get put on Facebook. We share them everywhere we can. We want
We've
everybody
got
to
a
feel good.
suggestion from Pam Humphreys.
Yes.
She said, allow time for your church council to approve submitting a grant if applicable for your church.
Right. That's a great suggestion, Pam. And that's also a good time to, if you've got them there and they're making those authorizations, when people are together, to take the list of names to see who knows somebody. I'm telling you, I do that all the time. My board members always knew I was going to be coming and saying, hey, who do you know? Who can you reach out to? So I wanted to leave a few minutes. I know this is a ton of information in an hour. So wish you the best of luck. And I wanted to leave a few minutes for question and answer for anything that maybe needed clarification or that I rushed through. I know it's a lot. Thank you, Rick. Oliver, I'm happy to see your face. You've been on a couple of webinars with me lately. I appreciate that. I hope it's been helpful. Are there any questions? If I can let y'all out before an hour, then we're gonna cheer. Try to respect your time. Okay, Annalisa, do you want to share? You're gonna send the PowerPoint and the video.
Yes, here, as soon as I can get the video converted, I'm going to send that out this afternoon, hopefully within the next hour, a link to the video and a link to the PowerPoints. And I'm also going to include the link to the other offerings that we have October 27th for the grant writing workshop. And also we have partnered with the North Carolina Rural Center for Churches. And they are providing a finders forum on September the 19th, which will be online. And you will, if you attend, you will actually get to talk to grantors. So this is another opportunity for you to begin to develop relationships. So that you'll be able to register through that same link. And I'm just so excited that you all have taken advantage of this opportunity. And like Susan, I wish you good luck. And if you have any questions as you begin this process, Susan and I are here to help in any way that we can. If we don't know it, we'll point you toward a place where you can find the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you get off of this and anything comes up, we're just a phone call or an email away. Discontinuing this Zoom call does not discontinue any support you can have from us. So thank you. And I hope y'all all have a beautiful, blessed rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Oh, I guess she didn't